Okay, here's something I gotta get used to. So here's the next plan for me to produce these videos somewhat predictable, regular fashion, which is to show up every day at the same time and just hitting record without mm, necessarily knowing what to say. Because in many ways, these videos are a medium channel for me to let whatever that's meant to come through, and being clear clear as possible a filter, because I for the longest time wanted to be shooting videos regularly and frequently. And as I have somewhat hinted at in the last video, the obstacle has been not doing it in a sustainable way. And it was not sustainable because, well, number one, it wasn't fun. And the reason why it wasn't fun in the past was because it was not a true reflection of who I am. And I said who I am, not necessarily who I was, who I have been in the past. And I'm starting to realize that the who I am, the present tense, or even when we're speaking in a mystical way, the I am is, it can be said, it's your higher self, or even a higher intelligence coming through you. And it's the best way, at least for me, to be to base my message upon. Where I'm coming from matters, or the energy that I'm basing these messages is important, because that's essentially that takes up a huge portion of what this message is about. I've figured out since a couple of years ago that any message is a lot more than the verbal content, the words, the sentences, the expressions, the verbal expressions. Because it's even proven in the scientific or psychology labs that human communication, less than half of it is about the words, and more than the majority of the actual communication interaction happens on the level of what's called a non-verbal, meaning your facial expressions. But uh, I want to put it in this way: it's all about the energy. It's energy interaction. And sometimes you watch one of these videos or hear someone talk. Yes, their verbal content, the way they weave their words may be impressive. They may be very skilled at the verbal, um, their words may be polished, their sentences may be flowing, not hesitant like I'm being now, somewhat. But it's not about the fluency, not always, anyways. because at least for me, I've decided that I would enjoy communicating and so-called creating these contents, these videos, if it's not fun for me. And I've in the past tried to heavily plan and script these contents, and I guess every approach has its time and place, and I've had some success, some amazing success approaching content creating that way. But I've evolved in my process where I just want to show up and turn on record, sit in front of a mic, and just talk into the device and talk to, I guess, not even necessarily the people behind these camera or whoever will be watching these videos in the end, because at least for me, because we are talking about, um, I will be talking about in the future how to customize the um, creative process, and also how to, more importantly, in a more simpler term, how to live as yourself in every way, in every area of your life. Because otherwise, it is not satisfactory, and dare I say, it's not worth it. I've tried, and I figure that any sense of lack, any sense of something not going right, and even any sense of this lingering fear that what may happen in the future comes from the fact that you haven't been meeting life as yourself, as your true self. The non-filtered, non-screened, not even polished. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with polishing oneself. Not everyone is meant to be as spontaneous in front of camera as I am. Some people do a lot better with, let's say, scripting, or maybe something like Q&A, which I may also try in the future. I also enjoy Q&A, but I always knew that I had a message wanting to come through me, me being a medium or a channel. And, in a dictionary sense of the word, but also in a mystical sense of the word, me being a medium or a channel, channeling higher intelligence energy, higher frequency energy, higher vibration. That's what essentially I want to make these videos uh, to be about going forward. It's about high frequency, high vibration living, but observing what's out there on YouTube mainly, because that's about the only social media channel that I'm on these days. Long form, mostly. I've been enjoying a lot of spiritual, so called, however that comes to you, that word means for you, whatever it means for you. The trouble I've been having, not just watching and digesting, processing those contents, those videos, but also about my own process is how do we anchor those sometimes mystical, sometimes um, like the cloud in the sky concepts, higher truth, take them down and anchor it in the daily life, in the everyday 3D reality. Although we need to uh, qualify that word 3D because we are not living in a 3D reality anymore. And hopefully, not hopefully, I'll in the future videos talk more about what that means. Mm. But chances are, if you're watching this video, I think you already know that something is coming and something is actually happening already. That the basis of our everyday reality is changing. The very fabric of the day to day, what it means to be alive as a human on Earth in this 21st century is changing, and that means this is totally new. This is the first time in human history kind of thing. What's happening now? And it will become clear in the future when we look back on this time in history. But are as it as we're going through it right now, it may not be totally clear. But what may be surprising for some is that our body knows. And oftentimes, almost always, it knows better and it knows before our intellect, our conscious thinking self, our mind does. So, what I've found over the years is that the issue, the central issue I talked about, bringing down those higher understanding, the higher principles, the high vibrational, mystical, spiritual, universal truth into the daily life is in many ways about going back into bringing your consciousness back into your body, the body, our bodies. Humanity has been, for one reason or another, taught, led to place more weight and credence to the mind, the human mind, than the human body over the past, I don't know how many centuries, even millennia, I don't know. And it has served its function, but the time has come that we have to actually reverse the trend. We have exhausted the potential. That's not a good way to put it, but in my opinion, at least, humanity has seen the has gone past the peak of the development of the human mind. And I need to qualify the statement. I believe that the potential for the human mind is for all purpose for all what's the word, intents and purposes, it's infinite. Yet the mind that, excuse me, not going to edit that, but um, the human mind that I'm talking about is the logical left brain mind. And the next frontier, if you will, the right brain mind, has actually uh, an integral connection with the body. So the mind detached from the body is what humanity has uh, exhausted the potential of. Okay, we've seen the best of it. I feel like we are not going to go beyond it. We need to um, look for somewhere else if you want to go beyond the limits that we've reached as a collective of the left brain logical detached from the body mind or intellect. So we've heard a lot about the right brain being in many ways not as limited as the left brain mind. It's just different. Okay. Because the other half of the left brain, um, so in a sense, we can't really say that it's better than the left brain. But is the next frontier. It is where we need to look into, look towards, if we want to go beyond what we knew, what we have known so far. So this is not just metaphorical or even scientific or theoretical. This is very practical, meaning we need to find a way to come back into our body to awaken the next level of intelligence that humanity is meant to enjoy. And in the context of our mind having no limits, the potential of the human mind having no limits, the right brain mind is the part where we are connected to everything, really. Higher intelligence, those mystical frequencies, high vibration, even I venture to say the very molecules that surround us. So one thing I want to do in this channel, in my YouTube channel, is to demystify a lot of the esoteric teachings, even modern day spiritual, mystical, channeled kind of content that some of you may have been exposed to. And I really want to make these videos as accessible to as many people as possible. I don't know how it'll end up becoming. I don't know. I hope so. I hope my message can reach many people, many diverse groups of people with diverse backgrounds. That's my aspiration. That's my hope. But I don't know. I the only thing I can do is try and shoot these videos in a way that's as sustainable as possible for me so that I can be showing up every day and just let it flow like I did this morning. I feel like I've did a pretty good job of doing this. And I don't know if you have noticed, but the sun is rising where I am. It's I started this around 6 a.m. and it would have been unthinkable for me in the past, or most of my life in the past, to be waking up this early and shooting these videos in English, because English is not my native language. I've managed to learn it and master it to the degree that I feel pretty comfortable just speaking into a mic without a script. But yeah, I've had to come a long way, not just in terms of my English proficiency, but my emotional stamina, preparedness, if you will, to be showing up, uh, being vulnerable, being raw, being unfiltered, and not worrying about what may come out of my mouth or how this will be received on the other end, because that's why I had to script. It's not even like I had a choice. I had to script my messages very heavily, very plan it out, very meticulously. And I've had, as I said, very good success coming out of it, even financial success. I made millions, um, only to lose it shortly after. Well, my company made millions, not me personally, but the company had to come down, and I'll probably talk about how it happened in the future as well. And so, doing things in a sustainable way is a very big theme for me. And I've realized over the years that being sustainable is very much connected to being authentic. And I don't know if I uh, made it clear. It's not me to be able to summarize everything in a succinct way right from the get go. I may come to that place after talking for 20, 30 minutes. And I used to think that as a liability, and that's why I had to plan my messages, just lay it out uh, beforehand. But I decided I had to risk being seen as who I actually am rather than trying to massage myself, trying to mold myself into a version that I think is much more presentable to the world. And by definition, if you think about it, that's trying to massage the truer version of yourself into a version that's less true to yourself, less authentic. And I thought It was a necessary sacrifice I had to make in order for the message to be, in order to help the message to reach the people it meant to. But I didn't realize I was actually very insecure about who I was, who I thought I was. And I made a very conscious distinction between I am and I was. I started this at the start of this video. I said I am, not I was. So I realized that the version that I was afraid of was not the real self, but the imagined version of myself. And that is how we are being programmed into fear. The version we think, the version of ourselves that we think is not good enough or is not presentable, is not the true version of ourselves. Because there is nothing not presentable, not functional, really, about our true authentic selves. So, if I can put this in a succinct way, I've decided, I've realized that every single problem in my life, or in anybody's life, I think this can be universalized, has its roots on one single fact that one is not showing up as one's true self. Some may say this is an oversimplification, but it's an oversimplification for some only because they don't have the emotional stamina to look into the true depth, the true extent of how much we all have been betraying our true selves, not being totally loyal and open and yielding to our true selves. Okay? I just said a mouthful there. Man, that's probably a mic drop moment. And maybe that's where I need to stop this uh, today's video. I really enjoyed shooting this, and I look really forward to be enjoying more. And really, this is what I've been looking forward to my whole life, really. To be able to just speak my heart without any worry of anything other than just talking into it, being present, just enjoying myself in that moment. And I've learned that even though I can't be logically sure, I know that this message is the most powerful when I'm just, you know, completely immersed in the process and not worrying about anything else. All right, I really enjoyed my time here. I hope you did as well, and I'll see you in the next one.